Today is the 19th of September, Thursday happens to be in 2024. And boy, do I have news for you today. My name is Jacob Payne, and this is a presentation we call Things You Might Have Heard. These are 8 news stories that you actually had a hand in picking. You have to vet the stories for the show for this morning. So it's kind of is your fault. And it is kind of is your fault. Some of the topics we have, we are talking about the Teamsters. We're talking about Tupperware, Kevin Hart's in this thing, and much more. And that guy, I tried to hide that guy, but we'll get to him right off the bat. Now, remember, our website home is thisisconversationproject.com for more details on how we do things. If you're new to us, then that's new to you. Check out our website and see what you can find out about us and what we can learn from us. You can email me and comment and complain and say all the things you want to. We take good thoughts as well at theconversationinbox@gmail.com. As we said, today is Thursday, September 19th. No particular order as the stories are being presented, but we will give you some context on how they got to be where they are, and we'll do the full explanation when we talk about the feeds at the end of the headlines, the 8th story. We'll go to how the feeds work, how stories get into here. Kicking things off with story number 1, and you thought we were done with Mr. Combs. We are nowhere near done. Yesterday's headline, and trust me, I tried to sneak it in at 2 in the morning so that would get no response. This is still one of the highest engaged stories for the day period time we have for. Judge keeps Sean Diddy Combs behind bars pending trial as damning new texts are revealed. So you should have known the basic story. If you've been, the proverbial hiding of the rock, Sean Diddy Combs, Sean Combs is now standing trial or about to stand trial, about to face charges for various sex trafficking and racketeering things, and of course all the baby oil stuff going there. Judge rules that he poses a flight risk and a danger to the community. 2 things, and that's why he is staying behind bars, because the prosecution has released some incriminating text messages, and pretty sure that he'll go out and start intimidating the public, intimidating the witnesses, and being kind of a bad dude, and private jets and lots of money and things like that. The texts were described as damning, and that's why no bail was given to Mr. Combs, sitting in wait for his trial to start. That's it. No real updates other than he's got to wait in jail for quite some time until the trial starts. The allegations, of course, stemming from racketeering, essentially running a criminal enterprise, drugs, guns, long orgies, for lack of better terms, and coercing women to kind of be docile and going forward. This is separate from all the actual domestic abuse cases, because those are just individual cases with various people. This one's a big one. We are watching a lot of chatter online about who has the biggest downfall in the community, the black community. And right now, it's pretty much a runaway gig between Bill Cosby and Sean Combs. Cosby, because it was such a long-standing thing and no one really knew about it until it happened. And then for Combs, because it happened so quickly, and there's literally no one defending him in the process. No real defense for what happened here. It just sort of happened. I saw Beetlejuice 2 last weekend, and it was missable. It wasn't very good. In fact, the biggest sort of storyline from that was A, it didn't need to exist. B, it didn't need to wait 30 years to exist. And 3, as much as I love Winona Ryder, her mouth moved a lot, but her face didn't move very much at all in the movie. There were a whole lot of things that were not so great with this one. And apparently Tim Burton sort of knew that, but still wanted to play it off anyway. The headline for number 2 is not so much about how not great the movie is, but how he could have got more money for it and maybe made it better if he would have went the new streaming option. But Tim Burton refused to go streaming only for Beetlejuice 2, and that's why he got less money in the budget. $48 million essentially what was lost from his budget because he wouldn't go streaming all. And that would have been it. He went to the box office and figured he'd make it up and make it up to the world and show them something by seeing how much money it could make in theatrical release. And it's making fairly good money, as nostalgia is the thing. The story wasn't so terribly bad, but do we need Beetlejuice 30 years later? Probably not. A streaming option probably would have been more fun and been easier for people to get a hold of and have more, actually probably have more staying power than it does in the theater. But because of this, it's less money in the pocket from Tim Burton, or less money into the movie pockets, if you will. And we'll see how the commercial box office will make, because obviously a streaming means you get a contract, you get this much money, and you go for whatever, and it wins, in perpetuity for royalties and maybe stuff like that. The box office hit first means you literally go to the fans and see what they're paying for it. And so far, the fans are paying for it. They may be paying too much for it, unfortunately. All right. Speaking of money, money is what makes the world go around right now. We're talking football, and college sports in general with the NIL, name, image, and likeness deals, and how to actually pay players. Colleges are looking for ways to literally pay players to show up now, not the under-the-table stuff that gets them in trouble. We've seen QR codes for people to donate to funds. Here is a way the city or the university is doing straight to it. Headline for story number 3, Tennessee is adding a 10% fee on football game tickets. That's what we're selling next season to pay for players. How about this? A $10 fee to whatever ticket you buy someplace to put money into the NIL talent fee. That's going straight to the players for football to fund their name, image, and likeness numbers. Now, many of these players that are on the big end, like Arch Manning and Shadir Sanders, because they're kind of actually famous or have some famous background or they're really, really good, they can get deals with Nike and KFC and get real TV deals, stuff like that. Here in Arkansas, the first batch of deals were like local barbecue shops giving money to the offensive line, which is great, but it's not actual talent fees, actual deals, actual money coming forward. The universities are trying to find ways to actually fund them directly so they're not beholden to big-time sponsors moving people around. And this seems like something that may actually work, raising the prices on tickets. Now, that might suck, raising prices on tickets, but this is one directly going to the players that you supposedly love and want to go see. Or you can choose to not go to the game. In most cases, people who are rabid fans of the fan base will find a way to go to the game. We'll pay the extra money. In fact, they'll buy scalp tickets, to be honest, do what they can to be around the team. So we'll see if this is going to help the financial gains for the players in Tennessee specifically, and who takes this one on next. No one else seems to want to really do the QR codes and have people try to snap pictures on the field. But we'll see if a flat fee on the front end will actually work for adding money into the players' hands. This was not really a money one. Transition to story number 4 this morning. Teamsters decide not to make 2024 presidential endorsement. The International Brotherhood of Teamsters, one of the largest influential labor unions in the United States, the people that drive the trucks, are not going to endorse a candidate for 2024. Now, the president for the Teamsters, Sean O'Brien, has been everywhere. He went to the Republican convention, was not actually invited to the Democratic convention, although they were big unions, to basically say, we're not in the pockets of anybody. We're going to go with who we want to go with. Now, in many cases, the unions themselves, the actual heads of unions, usually go with the Democrats because they kind of play up to them, while many of the rank and file people are now leaning towards the original party of Lincoln, that being the Republicans, and a lot of the populist stuff being said by Donald Trump in the last 16 years or so. That's the sort of way it's playing. Right now, the Teamsters, although many other unions did endorse Kamala Harris and the campaign for the Democratic Party, Teamsters have been endorsing Democrats since 1996. This year, they are endorsing no one. They're going to sit back on the sidelines and do what they can. There's a lot of love for the Trump thought processes and a lot of love for what Biden did, or Kamala Harris is basically saying she's going to do going forward. So we'll see if the labor unions are right to basically sit on the fence, or if the unions that basically have all kind of jumped on the bandwagon to stay Democratic are on the level for this one this year. Take a moment to pause from the news. We had 4 stories down and 4 more to go, but remind you that we need your help. We need your assistance. We need some vanity stuff, to be honest. Like, share, and subscribe. Like the video, like the audios, like some of our work out there so that people see the social proof that people like it. It's out there. Tell Mikey that it's good. And if Mikey says he likes it, then maybe people will eat it. Share some of our work with other folks, people who are like-minded, who will enjoy some of the videos, the audios, the newsletters, the things we do, and our perspective. Now, we try to give you the news, a newsy version of things, and of course, things that might not be being covered on the day because overtaken by Sean Puffy Combs news, things like that. So we try to give you a nice little wave of different things to talk about to see what's going on. And so share them with other folks so they see what's happening as well. The CEO of Starbucks, not very well shared, and we'll talk about that when we get to the feeds part. And subscribe to the actual shows you're seeing, or the videos, or the audios, what we have right there, specifically to our email newsletter. We want you to subscribe to that because we need to make sure we can get a hold of you. If you subscribe to our stuff, when we send things out there fresh, You get it fresh directly to you. I'm not even asking you to hit notifications because, yeah, they can be a pain, but subscribe to your favorite feeds, us, on your favorite locations, and we will do our best to give you great stuff, and you can tell us about it. You can also email us at the conversation inbox at gmail.com for more chitter chatter and comments and things like that. But make sure you like, share, and subscribe our work so we can get more people in the queue, if you will. This story at number 5 in the queue: a wave of deadly walkie-talkie explosions sweep Lebanon day after widespread pager attacks. No one has claimed responsibility. Essentially, Mossad and Israeli army are essentially assumed to be in charge of this, and no one really knows how it happened. But 2 days ago, like 3,000 pagers blew up in Lebanon, killing members of Hamas and members of various Hezbollah, members of Hezbollah who went low tech to communicate with each other. Yesterday, walkie-talkies blew up. 12 people died and thousands injured because of blowing up walkie-talkies. In fact, at a funeral for 4 people who died when their pagers blew up, a walkie-talkie blew up and killed a person there. It seems like it's bonkers, but it is the case what's happening. Remote detonations of low range, low tech is taking down Lebanese terrorists, taking down members of Hezbollah. Hezbollah has not spoken on about what they're doing to retaliate yet. And of course, as I said, no one's taking real responsibility for this. It's believed, everyone just thinks it's the Israelis particularly, but no one's really taking responsibility for this. And what we're seeing is a lot of security at the people who make these things. The people who built the pagers, even though they were sold or stolen off the black market and got into the hands of Hezbollah some other way, had to beef up security because they didn't want somebody attacking them. A little bit of explosive inside a tiny device that set off with a little radioactive, little button charge. It's causing a lot of issues, a lot of strife, and a lot of loss of life going forward. Is it ingenious? Short answer is yes. It's also very scary. It's one thing to know there are massive drones in the sky flying around looking to take people out. Sorry about that. It's a totally other thing to think that something in your pocket. And the reason why they stopped using cell phones was because they didn't want to be tracked. And now they're not getting tracked, but they're definitely getting unalived in creative ways. Now, this is something that brings up nostalgia. The old school Tupperware. If you're watching the video, there's a big lime green version of the old school Tupperware. My mom had this exact package in yellow back in the day, and it was the staple. This is before the disposable things from Glad and from all those Snokes there that's easy to carry around and easily destroy the environment. Tupperware lasted forever. It was beautiful. It was what you used to sort of set aside how you set aside your house and your decor and your kitchen, and it may have played a part in the civil rights movement. So says an episode of Cold Case. However, the biggest problem with Tupperware is it's no longer relevant. It's not making money. And Tupperware is filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy at this moment right now because they're out of money. They're literally running out of cash. It may not last till the end of the year. Tupperware on its own, being sold either in parties or having someone as ambassador or just online like everything else, is not making the grade anymore. Financial struggles has a company reporting more than 1.2 billion in debts with only 679.5 million in assets. That's underwater. And the bankruptcy will go through. Tupperware will cease operations and looking to kind of reorganize to stay out there. If you're under 30 years old, maybe under 45 or so, Tupperware may not mean much to you, but I'm 50 years old. So probably 30, 25 is where the cutoff is and what Tupperware is. We may still call it Tupperware because old folks still call it that, but it's not Tupperware because it's not the real sign. It's not the thing that has a little burp when you open it and close it. It's iconic. It revolutionized food storage back in the day, but everybody buys the cheap plastic stuff from the stores now. So why get Tupperware? That's the question. They want you to get onto it, and they want you to find ways to get to it so they can stay alive. But this may be an iconic brand that's not going to be iconic or a brand for us much longer. This is a story where you have to sort of cite the source. The next story as well, but these are personal stories, personality stories. Starting off with Greta Thunberg. The once beloved child teen climate figure, the activist is now aging like a bad child star and being seen as not so great with Gaza activism. The critics aren't liking this. Now, the source for this is a newsy blog called justthenews.com, which sort of goes at people who are sort of natural spotlight folks and kind of takes them in their worst. And I took the worst picture I could find of Greta with the most grimacing face there to kind of go along with this one. So take this one with a grain of salt, a whole table of salt with grains on it. But Greta Thunberg is now being seen not quite non grata, but things are looking bad for the shift. She is focusing, of course, on her activism for climate stuff, but she's also pro-Palestinian activism, which gets everybody an issue. When you go pro or against pro-Palestine or pro-Israel, that seems to be the breaking point right now. You can fight for anything you want to, but you take a side on this big issue and someone will go after you. And that's what's going on. Since she is pro-Palestinian, she's getting some attacks as being essentially been compared to an aging child star who doesn't know when to shut up. Her activism in Gaza is polarizing because people are seeing that as polarizing going forward. But it's not so much out of step with her climate change message. It is basically human rights. That's basically all it is. She chooses to pick the Palestine part as opposed to the Israel part, which is where her crimes or her validity may be. Because this is not so much just human rights. This is not just, starving kids in Africa. This is a political issue because there are deeply seated, rooted issues in the thing. Greta Thunberg is being attacked for this issue. Right or wrong, good or bad, it's what's happening. And as we say often, if somebody is not saying something against you, if somebody doesn't like you, or if someone is out there, if you're a person that nobody can say, I don't like you for whatever reason, even if it's just pure jealousy, then it is what it is. So the final story for this morning is going to be Kevin Hart, who's actually taking on this role that he's being tossed at and just living it up as best as possible. Kevin Hart says it's the biggest compliment ever when people call him an industry plant. What does that mean? He's been getting these sort of sideways compliments that definitely are not compliments, backhanded compliments, if you will, saying he's an industry plant and saying that, people are basically sticking in things so he can spread the love and word of the industry, be sort of the inside man to make things work. That's why he's in so many things. And he says it's the biggest compliment ever because to him, that means the industry is recognizing his hard work and achievements. People out there see that he does great stuff and wants to be a part of their projects. It's not just because, Paramount's like, we got to put Kevin Hart in this thing because it will, regulate things going forward. It is what it is. It do what it do. It be what it be. Kevin Hart is embracing this actual thing because. Now, let's get to the feeds part. This is the teaser story section of the actual Conversation Project show or Things You Might Have Heard show. And this is where we tell you a story that's going to be in our feeds or maybe in the feeds by the time you see this video. And this is how you actually get the stories into this video. What we do is we post news stories every 50 minutes or so across various websites, Threads, X, and Facebook. And if you engage in those stories when they come up, we get engagement scores. That means we can see how many people through the stats are looking at the stories, which ones are more important, which ones are more interesting going forward. The more engagement a story gets, the better chance you have to talk about it. On this Thursday, we'll have all day to give you Thursday stories. And then Friday morning, we'll open up the stats and the stories with the most engagement. The top 15 of the 30 or so stories we'll post throughout the day. We'll get a look and we'll pick 8 of them going forward. This is one I don't suspect will actually survive, but we're going to get it out here right now to give you some incentive to maybe check it out, even if you're on the lower end. The headline that we're posting today inside of our feeds, students are reading fewer books in English class. It's that simple. There's a lot to complain about education right now. I have a 12-year-old in 7th grade, so there's a lot to say about her education and what she's learning and not learning. And the pandemic has basically made all the kids a little less bright. But the aftermath of right now, how things work right now, is there's less reading happening in English class, or at least less book reading in English class. Your mileage may vary on what's being read. We actually teased yesterday the story about the CEO of Starbucks quitting after 6 months, and no one wanted to talk about this one. Let's make this a story about books and reading a little bit better. Go to facebook.com/thisistheconversation project, x.com/th_conversation, and threads.net/@thisistheconversation. Engage in the stories. Like it, love it, hate it, read it. The more engagement you get to the stories you put out there, the better chance we have of talking about it in the future. The future being tomorrow, unfortunately. Talk about our teaser story for this morning. Talk about our feature sponsor for this morning. The teaser story was just a moment ago. Now it's Flowers Fast. Flowers Fast will get you flowers fast. Commercial over. Well, not quite. I've got to give you the calls to action. But Flowers Fast is a site, a website, a service, a godsend, if you will, that is attached to the FTD network of florists that will allow you to get your flowers to your loved one or your hated one. We talked about hate flowers yesterday. Fast. An early morning order on Flowers Fast can get there probably by lunch, if not by the end of the day. Flowers Fast will take care of you with their flowers, with their gifts, with their chocolates. And they have FTD has this little pretzel thing that's pretty awesome because it's football season. They have these football packages. Check it out today. And of course, summer sausage is awesome. Go to Flowers Fast using our affiliate link. Use this link. We get a small commission for you stepping in and we open the door for you. This is theconversationproject.com/flowersfast. This is theconversationproject.com/flowersfast. Very quick stop onto us promoting the Conversation Project and our website. This is theconversationproject.com. Stop by our website for more details on how we do it, why we do it, and the real value you get from how we present you news and how we present you things. We call ourselves your secondary news source, your news side piece, like we like to say. So we're not CNN, we're not MSNBC, we're not Fox News, not by any measures. But we are a source of things that you may have been missed throughout the day because those places covering the main stories, and a place to get a bit of an extra perspective, a different perspective of some things. Sometimes people love it. Sometimes people hate it. Sometimes people cheer me on. Many times I get called dumb, but that's what happens. Stop by the website, find out more about how we do things for news for you and for me as well. You can also consider going to more sponsors. Our sponsorship page is there. All our sponsors that are listed there are links for affiliate links. So when you buy from them, we get a commission back. And you can consider being a partner and directly funding us, directly helping us get things done. That's at our partnership page as well. If you don't have the funds, you don't have the means, or just don't think we're quite there yet, help us out for free. Engage with us on the feeds, and of course, email me at theconversationinbox@gmail.com. Wrapping up for the day. Thank you so much for being with us on this Thursday, September 19th. I'm looking at my settings as I'm doing this thing, and basically about 15 minutes in, I realized I had the wrong microphone set. So this may not go out, or it may sound very, 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 very odd based on the way the mic is. So we may have to do some boosting to get this out there. We may miss a show today. Hopefully, if you're seeing me talk about this, we didn't miss a show today. On this Thursday, I want you to have a great day. Enjoy yourself. Remember that I love you immensely, and we need you here even when we mess up the audio. And you can tell us that too, because we take those comments and concerns very seriously. Love you, mean it. Let's do this with the right microphone come Friday.